Today, we're gonna go everything you need to know about HARVESECT, so let's get into it. First then, let's go over HARVESECT's typing. It is a bug spirit typing, which is pretty phenomenal in Loomian Legacy. It has 5 weaknesses, which is Ice, Light, Air, Spirit, and Ancient. And that was likely the best in terms of how many things it's weak to, because also you can get way better than that. Some typings are only weak to a couple of things. This one has 5 weaknesses. However, the best part about HARVESECT is the absolute abundance of resistances and an added immunity as well. So, also it's immune to Brawler, it's a spirit type, but for the resistances, it resists 6 types normally, and it also has a quad resistance, which is Dark. And for the normal ones, it is Type Plus, Plant, Earth, Electric, Bug, and Toxic. So, just with the resistances alone and the immunity, this thing is going to be swapping into a lot of different moves. Next up, let's go over HARVESECT stats then. It has 116 base health, which is very high, especially for a spirit type. Most spirit types usually have a lot lower of a health stat compared to like Wendell and stuff like that, almost like really like fat, kind of like your soul and your snack. However, the reason why HARVESECT's health stat is so high is because it kind of ties in with its energy stat, which is base 0, which also I'll be touching back on later, okay, because it kind of ties in with its ability. But all on that low, it has 100 melee attack, which is pretty darn high, like not super high, like not wall breaker levels, but still can deal a pretty good amount of damage with its stab moves, okay. 119 base melee defense, tied with its health. This thing is basically just not going to die to like melee attacks unless they're super effective. 34 range attack, it's not going to be a range attacker unless you're in like a gimmick set, kind of like Nevermere in that sense. 77 range defense. It is a little bit on the lower side, but combined with its health, it is still very, very good, okay? And 56 health, which also knows like the fastest thing, can invest a little bit of speed to outspeed maybe something like a Venelon, like the 56 speed Venelon, or maybe like one outspeeds the Himbers, because also Himber does run quite a lot of speeds still. But yeah, actually speaking about Himber, turns out I didn't actually plan this, but HARVESECT stats wise are like very, very, very similar to Himber, just a little bit less tanky, but a little bit quicker. So yeah, didn't actually plan that, but it just came out that way. Moving on to HARVESECT's ability then, and you heard me right, I said ability, meaning 1. HARVESECT's only ability is called Life Force, which is also the reason why it has a 0 energy stat. But Life Force's description reads, this Loomian's moves cost health instead of energy. It costs 10 health to use any move. Now we can definitely see the community being split down the middle on this one, because it could be broken or it could be really bad depending on like how you say, like also you can't click play to rest. Actually, if you do it, you're just wasting a turn because you physically have no energy. If your ability gets stolen, you're just going to keep struggling, I guess. So there are like ways to get around it, and it could seem like kind of underpowered, but at the same time, like level 100 battles, for example, and you have like 400 health, you can click a lot of moves and also give it a health amulet. I mean, you get more health than you actually use on moves. So yeah, it's definitely going to be like a very interesting ability, so it's going to actually be fun to see how it plays out. And also, it could get changed in the future, maybe like making it a little bit better, maybe making it a little bit worse somehow. So I guess we'll see how it plays out, and I guess we'll see if it needs to get buffed or actually potentially nerfed. Moving on to HARVESECT's moves then, okay. So first off, I guess we'll start with the level up moves, so let's go to Spirit V, the first evolution. First offline, we get Bug Bite, Startle, Gnaw, Stare, Chase Down, Final Ruse, and Swipe. Then we can evolve into Idiohusk, which will give us Brace as an evolution move. Then we can get Stupefy, Eerie Stare, and Pester, before then evolving into HARVESECT, which will then give us another evolution move called Soul Harvest, which is a new move. It's actually the same move that the artist gave HARVESECT in the art contest. But basically when you use it, it's a normal, I think it's 50 base power, like just a normal spirit type move that does pretty low damage. Although if you get a KO when using this move, your melee attack will be sharply increased, +2 melee attack, which is a very nice move, okay? Right now it's a signature move, but it could potentially be passed on to more Loomians in the future maybe. But then along that we get Parasitize and Soulstorm, which is another new move that HARVESECT gets. Basically for this one, it's just a pretty like fairly high damage move, well at least in terms of what we have right now in the game, but 80 base power move, but also it can remove stuff like enchantments, which we don't have in the game right now, but that's the idea right now, is to call them enchantments, basically Reflect and Light Screen. But right now, because those aren't in the game, it's just a higher base damage spirit type move that isn't Phantom Slash, which is very nice. And that's basically all of the level up moves. Now onto the MMs, we have Dodge, Barcher, Ill Will, and Mudspat, which all the evolutions get. And for the rally moves, we have Bulk Up, Bait, and Driving Force. So I guess in terms of moves, we have like a couple of things that we can do. In 2v2s, having Bait with that many resistances is very nice. Driving Force is also like a pretty good one to run in doubles, I guess. Just like try and force out a Loomian that you don't want, especially for like maybe your teammates. But in like solos or like singles, I guess like having Bulk Up, Parasitize is going to be very nice with this ability because you're also going to get more health backs than you spend on your move, hopefully, if it isn't like a quad resist and you're also burnt. But with Parasitize, definitely going to be a absolute dub to have, okay? But yeah, probably Bulk Up, Parasitize, Soul Storm, and then I guess you could run Soul Harvest or just anything else like Chase Down or Final Ruse. Definitely be like pretty fun to see what people actually do for HARVESECT. Really quickly then, before I leave it off, I want to go over a couple of sets I think people might potentially lean towards when using HARVESECT, and also, I guess, a quick recap. So, for the typing, I said at the beginning of the video, it is absolutely amazing, it is just mind-blowingly good. Yeah, having 5 weaknesses kind of suck, but with that many resistances and an added immunity, and most of them are pretty common typings that you resist, that's a really good typing. And also, it's kind of like Himber in a sense. Himber has a lot of melee defense bulk, and you already know, Himber doesn't really care about melee attacks. Even if they're super effective, it can just kind of like shrug them off. HARVESECT's the same way. Yet it has a lot of weaknesses, but if it's a melee attack version of that weakness, it's most likely not going to really care. And it actually has Parasitize, so it can actually get some form of recovery, although not super reliably, because if it resists Parasitize, you're not going to get that much health back, but still, it has some form of recovery at the very least. So yeah, for the sets, people are probably going to end up running like a bulky offensive version, kind of like how I run my Himber, like the 200 health, 200 melee attack, very brawny maybe a little bit of speed invested with the sluggish to outspeed Himbers that run at 80 speed like I do. And if you actually want to, you can actually outspeed the 56 sluggish Venolin if you invest 104 speed into a sluggish HARVESECT to outspeed Venolin as well, which I guess is up to you if you really want to, because you do resist Toxic and the Mud Spatter Earth, so you don't really need to, but if you want to avoid getting poisoned, I guess that's kind of worth it, maybe. But I think the more preferred set that people are going to run, which actually I told me as well, is that because everything is so bulky, you can just run like 200 health, 200 melee defense, and just like basically spam bulk ups and maybe Soul Harvest to try and get your melee attack to get increased to then start dealing massive amount of damage, while also being even more incredibly tanky. But yeah, that's HARVESECT though. Hopefully you guys enjoyed. Let me know your thoughts down in the comments, and I'll see you guys next time.